Hello, good day. This video presentation is all about Chapter 8 Implementation Support. I am Ronalyn Ortega and I will be discussing you the first part of Introduction in Implementation Support. In this chapter, we will discuss the programming support that is provided for the implementation of an interactive system. We have spent much effort up to this point considering design and analysis of interactive systems from a relatively abstract perspective. Now, we will focus to the task of coding the interactive application and how it is structured. So the focus of this chapter is the task of coding the interactive system and turn it into interactive application on how it is structured or built by the help of a program. The detailed specification gives the programmer instructions as to what is the interactive application must do. The programmer must translate that into machine executable instructions to say how that will be achieved on the available hardware devices. So the programmer is responsible on doing the machine executable instructions so that the user can easily understand and identify it by the use of a program. The objective of the programmer then is to translate down to the level of software that runs the hardware devices. For the continuation of this, Ms. Pauline will be discussing the second part of the introduction.
My name is Pauline Miranda and I will be discussing the part 2 of introduction.
So since the programming support tools is used in implementing interactive systems, programming support tools is aiming to move that executable language up from the crudely expressive language to a higher level in which programmer can code more directly in terms of the interaction objects of application. So ibig sabihin, itong programming support tools is aiming to level up the executable language or yung mga ina-execute ng isang programmer whenever he uses his computer from a crudely expressive level into a higher level in which they can code more directly in terms of interaction objects of application or in terms of building a interactive system for a certain application or software. So emphasis here is on how building levels of abstraction on top of essential hardware and software services allows the programmer to build the system in terms of its desired interaction techniques. So interaction techniques, it is the term used to indicate the intimate relationship between the input and output. Ibig sabihin, from how the system actually stores the data, from what data the database stores, or the relationships among those data up to the entire database, yun yung ina-emphasize, or the building of those stages or levels is what being emphasized here in this chapter because it allows the programmer na makapag-build o makapag-create, makapag-develop ng isang system in terms of building the desired interaction techniques or the desired intimate relationship between the input and output. Next is, in this chapter, we will address the various levels which constitute the move from the low-level hardware up to the more abstract programming concepts for interaction. So since sinabi ko nga po kanina na dito sa chapter na to ay we are focusing on implementing interactive system, so we
Discussing here the windowing system in Section 8.2, which provide for devices independence and resource sharing at the programming level. So, as we all know that windowing system frees programmers from some worries about the input and output primitives, since windowing system allows or enables the computer user to work with several programs or to control multiple applications at a time, and it implements graphical primitives. Well, here in section 8.3, we will describe the two fundamental ways this stream of events can be processed to link the interface with the application functionality. In here, we will talk about the two paradigms for interactive programming. It's either internal to the application. This is by means of a read evaluation loop, while the external application, which is by means of notification-based programming. So, we will still elaborate this part along the discussion of or during the discussion of this chapter. Next is in section 8.4, we will describe the use of toolkits as mechanisms to link input and output at the programming level. So in order to provide access to the programmers to interaction objects to build or for them to build the components of a interactive system. So this is important to study, and this is important to understand, because by this or by learning the using of toolkits, this will help us to determine or to this will help us to build a interactive system in the future whenever we are about to do it. In section 8.5, we will discuss the large class of development tools lumped under the categories of User Interface Management Systems or UIMS and User Interface Development System or the UIDS. So since toolkits provides us a limited range only, limited lang yung kayang magawa ng toolkits, that is why we need to add another level of services for interactive system. Ito nga po yung i-discuss natin in chapter or in section 8.5, the large class of development tools that is under the categories of UIMS and under the categories of UIDS. So that is the introduction of chapter 8. The content or the sections of the chapter 8 is going to be discussed or will be discussed by the other students of BSIT 2B. Thank you.